Hey, welcome back to the studio. Today we are going to be looking at the, I guess, teaser. We're just going to be talking about some of the new details in the
Right.
kind of first look from Arcane season 2. It has
Yeah.
been a minute.
Yeah. I think that's partly because the group that's making this, they kind of seem to have an indie spirit in some ways.
Hmm.
They're kind of just left on their own, and they're creating this. It takes a long time with this, not just beautiful animation and specific
Hmm.
animation style, but also just with how cinematic they choose with the
Yeah.
composition and all the art for the visuals.
Hmm.
And then there's also the wonderful, complex storytelling for each character. I thoroughly enjoyed season one. I
Hmm.
remember back when we were watching. Well, you watched Arcane, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you were like, "Hey, you should watch this." And I'm like, all right. And you're like, hey, you should probably watch this. And I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
I'll get to it. I'll get to it. And you're like, just watch the first episode. So I watched the first episode, and then I was
Mm.
like, well, I gotta watch the next one. Then
Yep.
by the second episode, I was like, I can't stop watching. This is probably the greatest animated series I've ever seen.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched Arcane on Netflix, you're missing out because
Hmm.
season
It's
two is
very
coming
good.
out, I think later towards probably the end of this year. And honestly, it's going to be, I hope, a blast if it's anything like season one.
Oh yeah, and
So
there's so much stuff around the first season, around its launch. I remember when it was launched and people were like, "Really? A League of Legends? That's what we're doing? A League of Legends show?" Okay, nobody
yeah,
was really excited for it. It was kind of a sleeper hit, but I know that the show was one of the more expensive animated shows that was made during the time,
hmm,
and I don't think that when they created it, they expected it to be such a hit, and so
right,
they ended it on definitely a cliffhanger, but also kind
huge,
of what you would expect, and they wrapped up a lot of storylines in
yeah,
the in the not wrapped them up, but sort of set you up to use your imagination if they
yeah.
didn't get a second season. And so it's been interesting that it's taken so long.
Yeah. And for a first season of how
Mhm.
many episodes was it? 12?
I wanna
10 or
say it was
12?
like 9.
9? For an just an opening season to take, the long journey that
Mm,
Jinx and her sister Vi, and then getting into also Silco as a character and that backstory a little bit,
yeah.
and their relationship with Vander and everything. Man,
Mhm.
they dove into such deep character development and told so many good stories of these characters along the way. I mean, that's also including like Jason, Victor, and all them.
Mhm.
There was so much to this season one that was
Mhm.
just told beautifully. So yeah, this takes a while, and it seems like they got some quality writers
Mm.
on this show in particular. And I know there's some source material with League of Legends, but
Mm.
to build on, but still, you can really botch that up if you don't have good
Oh,
writing.
yeah. Yeah, and also knowing when to deviate from League of Legends lore,
Hmm.
to in order to tell a good story. It's interesting that the first look was, not the characters that I think people were expecting,
Right,
people are maybe kind of expecting an aftermath of what happens at the end of the show.
right, yeah. With
People
like
maybe,
Jinx and the bombing and
yeah,
everything, right?
everything. I kind of actually expected like a similar scene to the opening of the show where it's kind of a shell shocked, battle torn, smoke everywhere aftermath of the explosion, and people
Right.
kind of stumbling around and not giving away too much, but giving away that there's chaos and things like
Mhm.
that. But this opening, this first look was, um, while not what I was predicting, everything I kind of expect from this show.
Right. Yeah. So for people who haven't seen it, there's a big reveal. It showcases first and foremost. It showcases Singed, hooked
Mhm.
up, all injured, I guess. He's
Yeah.
hooked up to. If I'm being honest, I don't know if it's Shimmer or what exactly
With
is
this
being
what yeah.
used there. Um, but he's doing an experiment of some sort. He's also reflecting.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge gamer, and so I don't know, have all of the background of Singed himself. But you had an article pulled up as we were
Yeah,
prepping
well,
for this.
I had some of the information on some of the characters in the game and some of their history and lore, and I believe, Singed has quite a bit.
The big revelation at the end is the Warwick, right?
Mhm.
The big guy hanging above Singed there, and as far as we know, that's Vander, right? That's
Yeah.
essentially the almost dead version of Vander, who's
So
not actually dead.
yeah, this was a big fan theory in season 1 was that Vander would be Warwick because he's
Right.
big. He when he mutates, at the end of the 3rd episode, he's very Hulk-like with a large upper body,
Hmm.
reminiscent of that sort of size and shape that Warwick is in the game. That was the theory, and the fact that we don't know what happened to his body, we know that the last people to be near it were Silco's crew, of
Yeah.
whom Singed was a part of, uh,
Affiliated with, right?
affiliated with at least, and we know that Singed is into making like chimeras and stuff and
Mhm.
things that won't die, zombies essentially.
Which
Um,
in some ways really explains a lot of what, all of the experiments we saw
mhm,
Singed working on in the first season. It does
yeah,
kind of put a cherry on it or add to it by saying like, "Oh, this is part of his end goal was this specific experiment, was this
mhm.
specific Warwick that he's creating."
Yeah, I know that in the game, the history is that he was experimenting on, Warwick, who nobody really knows exactly what he was before he was
Mhm.
Warwick, um, and that he thought that it was dead, and, I guess when he was sleeping, it woke up and
Oh,
mauled him and attacked him and made him that way. Um,
dang.
so yeah, I don't remember if that's if he had a similar accident in the first season. We know that he was using Shimmer,
Yes.
um, because we know that and he kind of needs it to stay alive, I guess.
And that's what Vander used to Hulk out
Yeah,
episode 4, I believe, to
it's
save Baya
also
and Jinx.
I think it's also I don't know that it's Shimmer exactly, but whatever Victor uses to kind of get his the use of his legs back.
Right.
Um, we know that there's a lot of mad science going on in this show,
Yeah. Yeah.
and alchemy and chemistry and stuff like that. So it's not unexpected to see kind of this green haunting, ghoulish I guess zombie like glow coming
Yeah.
from these
Yeah. Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
It's very cool. It's very
It reminds me of
intimidating.
Ninja Turtles with the
Oh
ooze.
yeah, dude. And the fact that it wouldn't be mad science if he wasn't, you know, sucking the whatever blood, juice or
Right.
whatever is being concocted in this chimera's body.
Yeah. And just to there's not a whole lot here outside of the big
Mhm.
revelation with Warwick and and whatnot, but there is this shot where Singed is looking at a pocket watch of some sort,
Mhm.
right? And I don't recall if this was ever in the show itself in season
Yeah.
1. Like we said, it's been a while since the
So
first
if
season
there was
came
a
out, so
brief scene where he has a pocket watch, I don't remember.
I don't remember either. And there was so much that happened that
Mhm.
would be difficult to remember personally,
Yeah.
but I did do a Google search and it's either from the game or it's from season 1, like this super punched in shot that
Mhm.
shows probably Singed a picture of Singe's daughter, right?
Yeah.
And so that it seems significant for them to show us that in the first look, that while he's going through this experimentation process with hooked up to these machines and all of this stuff, that he's reflecting and looking at that picture of his daughter,
Yeah.
most likely, right?
And I can't in the wiki page that I have pulled up, I don't see anything that specifically mentions a daughter or a significant other. Um,
So it could be maybe the internet is guessing on that. It could be maybe it's his wife. It's hard to know, or it could be Arcane is writing that into the story. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So we'll wait and see, but there is significance there, especially if they're going to show us that in the first look. And then what else? I think the big thing that stood out to me is just that classic like epic sound effects and visuals from
oh
Arcane.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like most of all, I'm wearing these new Shure headphones and just listening to that first look and all of the details, all the sounds and all the ominous environment that they create audibly
mhm,
is so masterfully done and so captivating in how it pulls you into it and really makes you focus in. And I almost want to watch all of season 2 with these headphones on. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Not just I want to watch it with headphones because I don't want the TV to be giving me the environment across the room. I want to be in it, you know? I want to be
mhm,
there. Um, there's so many stories that need buttoned up with season 2, and so I feel like it's going to be a wild ride. I definitely would love to see a form of Jinx. Uh, it's almost like she chose violence. She did choose violence there at the end.
absolutely, she did.
And a part of that was because she has this inner rage from trauma. But
Mhm,
I almost would like to see, although she's kind of dug herself into a hole that's going to be hard to dig out of
mm.
now. I do want to see some form of redemption for Jinx as a character. Um,
Ah, man, not
I don't
me.
know. I don't know if Vi. I don't know if Vi is going to be able to do that. I think it's going to have to be
I
someone
don't
else.
think so. I think it's more interesting. It's going to be Vi's definitely going to try to
Yeah,
redeem her, but I think it's more interesting if Jinx takes up that that void that's now empty with Silco being gone and kind
right.
of being the mob boss,
Yeah.
a very, you know,
Dangerous, unpredictable
dangerous,
mob boss.
unpredictable, insane mob boss, and
The worst kind.
that'll make all of Zaun uh, very chaotic. I'm sure,
Yeah.
definitely because it's now like criminal underworld. Before it was criminal underworld, but also kind of poor blue collar
Yeah.
uh,
But think about
people
this.
living there.
Jinx took out now in theory, assuming that it's not gonna be like the season opens, dust clears, and
Mhm.
Jace survived, you know what I mean? The
Right.
explosion. But assuming that doesn't happen, she just took out all the most powerful leaders, right?
Mhm.
There at the end of the season. And I'm not
Yeah.
trying to spoil this for people who haven't seen season 1, but I'm assuming you're watching this because you have seen it.
Mhm.
Um, I think I'm hoping that they stick to consequences and don't try to write themselves, you know, necessary. Like I like the idea that Jinx made this big problematic decision
Mm.
and a lot of people died from it. I don't
Yeah.
necessarily need Jace was interesting as a character, but I almost like him and his development to be murdered with Jinx's choice to
Yeah.
do what she
Well,
did.
it'll be more. I think it's more interesting if, I mean, the face we focus up on in that last shop is Mel. Um,
Mm,
she's the one. She's close with Jace.
right.
Um, it would be more interesting for his character if she's gone.
But
Because
Jace
I
was
know
standing right there. I'm pretty
he
sure he
was,
was ground zero. Like,
but I know that I know Jace has lots of magic and tricks and stuff.
right.
He's got that tech and stuff on him.
He
So
got that tech.
anything could happen with him, and if he survives and she doesn't, that's going to
Yeah.
be hard on his character. Also, her mother, Mel's mother, I think is a character you can play as in the game.
Right.
So it'll be interesting, the dynamic with her now.
Every time Mel walked into a room, I know it's animated, but it brought me back to, that childhood Lola Bunny situation
Mhm.
where every time she walks in a room, you're just like,
Mm. She was one of the best designed characters,
she's so
just
beautiful as an
all
animated
around. Yeah,
character.
it's impressive when they, a lot of animations, characters aren't like unique looking, and she's
Yeah.
definitely a unique looking character.
Right. Right.
But there's absolutely the possibility that rocket is a dud. It's nothing. It's a joke.
We saw it blow up.
It's a.
She was in a hyper state of anger. I don't
Right.
know if she would pick up a joke. You know what I mean?
Did we see it blow up? I don't remember.
I think
I
we
I thought
did.
it was just like
I think we
right
saw
there at the window.
again, I'd have to go back. My
I
my
thought it was
brain
just
tells me the whole top of that building blew up.
your
Or
brain's
the
telling you that, but I
my
don't know if
brain's
that's what
telling me that.
happened.
What could have been?
Who knows? I have to go back and watch, and I will be
Hmm.
definitely as we get closer to the release for season 2 because
Yeah.
I need all the details fresh. Need all the
Mhm.
details fresh in my mind. But let us know in the comments down below if you guys have any theories for this first look, anything that we might have missed, or stuff that's conversations on the internet that we don't know about yet that
Mhm.
we'd like to be a part of. Let us know down in the comments. Love to hear your thoughts there. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys on the next video.